Welcome to The Light Within, where we explore how to access the wisdom and intelligence from within us to increase our health and vitality. So today my guest is Susan Pasieka. Susan helps people who've been battling with their weight using her signature framework, Soul Lessons for Weight Loss, so that they can lose weight without restrictive dieting or hours of exercise. Susan is a certified eating psychology coach, a registered social worker, and uses a trauma-informed approach in her coaching. Susan was a dedicated chronic dieter for over 40 years, but has since successfully deprogrammed herself from diets and has applied her knowledge of trauma and brain science to rewire her own brain so she now makes daily conscious decisions about food and how she wants to live. So, thank you, Susan, for coming.
Well, thanks for having me here, and having me share with your audience. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm really excited to have you here. When I first heard Susan talk, I was just touched and really felt a sense of relief because you were talking about weight loss, not as like trying to change ourselves, but as loving ourselves, how to love ourselves first. So please, can you tell us a little bit more about eating psychology and soul lessons for weight loss?
Sure. Yeah, so eating psychology is really a positive approach for people who have traditionally used diets to try to change their body size. And it offers strategies, mind-body nutrition strategies, to help guide you back to your body in a way that you learn to listen to your own body, and therefore you don't need diets. And there's lots of strategies and wisdom that comes from our own self that we don't even know exists until we start tuning in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting because like that's like kind of all of life, right? Is how to go inside to find the answers rather than...
Yeah, we're so reliant on looking outside of ourselves, and that's how we've been taught.
And so we're out of tune with our bodies.
Yes.
And so...
Yeah. And so I developed the framework, Soul Lessons for Weight Loss, because eating psychology teaches that our issues and challenges with weight, our body image, and our behaviors around food they really have a great purpose. And the purpose is to direct us back to our body, because we have lessons to learn, lessons of life. And there's some very common ones that we struggle with. Some of these are like learning to let go, learning to accept life as it is. Those are huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And learning to love ourselves, learning to care for our bodies. You know, we take care of others often, and we're not prioritizing our own selves. And so that's a huge lesson to be able to learn to take care of yourself so that you can care for others.
Yeah. I'm just getting goosebumps because, yes, you know, often people, if they're trying to lose weight, it's such a, you know, like, oh, like I just got to get this weight off.
Yeah.
But you're talking about, no, let's go to the deeper lessons here. And ultimately, we're going to feel more fulfilled.
Well, the deeper lessons, the reason we don't jump to do those first, the reason why we don't go to fix them is because they're tough.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest ones. So we take the easy route. We take we focus on food as the problem.
Right.
I'm the problem.
Right.
I just need more willpower. And so those are a little easier to think about. And so we obsess about that. We focus on that because when we're trying to deal with life problems, it doesn't just involve us usually. It involves other people. And so sometimes we do need to make changes in our life. And it's very hard to do because it doesn't just involve us.
Right.
And so we avoid.
Right.
And we use food as the problem to avoid.
Well, yeah, and I want to get more into this, but I also want to hear, how did you get into this, into eating psychology, and how does it affect you now, and how did you get into it?
Oh, quite by accident.
Okay.
I had, being a social worker, I had worked at social services for over 20 years and thought that's where I would retire. I had always wanted to open a counseling or coaching business, but I took the easy route and just stayed on this path, right? Because that's what had been presented to me, and I just took it.
Right.
But I had an incident at work that lasted over a year. It was very traumatic, and it ended up costing me a year and a half of my life. I took a year and a half medical leave. I was having symptoms of PTSD and anxiety, depression that I'd never experienced.
Oh, wow.
Before. Yeah. So really the darkest period of my life. And scrolling along Facebook came this program, Eating Psychology, and for some reason I opened it up, and I knew within just minutes of reading that this is what I needed to heal.
Okay.
And it was the answer to my weight challenge that I'd had. I'd struggled for over 40 years. So constant trying to be a certain size, be a certain weight, look a certain way. And I bought it and I studied it, and it grew from there. And that's after I finished the course, that's when the idea of opening my own business came about.
Right.
I started to get inspired seeing other people use the course to open their businesses, and so when I thought about what my business would be called, I asked the universe for help, and because I couldn't think of what I should call it.
Yeah.
And one day this idea of Soul's Journey popped into my head. And really that was the furthest name that I could have picked, and it was really repulsive because at that time I didn't have a connection to my soul. I didn't have connection to higher power, and so I thought, well, the universe spoke, so I better check it out. And I googled Soul's Journey to see if anybody else had that name for their business, and the first search was a book called Journey to Your Soul. And again, for some reason, I had to click on it, and right away I was buying it and reading it. And I didn't even get halfway through the book, and something happened. I literally connected to my soul.
Oh.
In a deep way.
Just in the heart.
It was just like deep, and I knew that that's what my business had to be called, Soul's Journey. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with it. But now I've fully embodied Soul's Journey, because what I've learned is that weight loss is really a journey. It isn't one thing you learn. It's a journey of learning lessons in life. And again, the weight is there to teach you. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, because I find too, like even in my work, I kind of came to it because I needed it. The lessons I'm passing on in my work, I had experiences that like I had to apply it to myself first. Right. Yeah. And so this really worked for you, and so that's why it's like, hey, and I think it's just amazing because it's not about changing the way we look, or it's about feeling good inside and being on our soul's journey. That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, can you tell us maybe a couple more things? I want to kind of get back into about how our eating challenges might be related to other things in life. Like, how does that affect how we're eating, or how does that affect us?
Well, our behaviors around food mirror our life a lot. For example, like if you are controlling in your life, you're likely going to control around food.
Interesting. Right. I'm just thinking about myself.
If you're a fast eater, chances are you're fast in your life.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah. If you have trouble letting go, chances are you can't let go of things around food. Like for me, I had a fear of going 4 hours without food was just a real challenge. Like the thought of forgetting my snack on the way to work. It was set real panic in me, and so letting things go and being okay in the moment and.
Oh, I love that, because even recently, and from time to time, I remember that, sometimes when it comes to supper time, I'm like tired, because it's the end of the day, I've just cooked a big meal, and so I finally sit down, but my mind is just going while I'm eating, because I'm so tired. But what I've been doing is like, hey, I just need to slow down and actually pay attention to the fact that I'm eating. Yeah. And it makes a whole big difference in, how well am I digesting and everything like that. Yeah. It makes such a huge difference. And it's amazing how you could look at how you're eating and how you're behaving in life.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
It makes a huge difference.
This is exciting, because that's something that we can all just start to look at. Yeah. What am I doing when I'm eating or when I'm snacking, or my thoughts about it? Mm-hmm. Okay. And now, so I guess, now I want to also ask you, what, you mentioned in your description here that traditional diets are damaging. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you say that they're damaging?
Well, because number one, they keep you from being in your body.
Right.
They keep you outside of yourself.
Right.
They keep you searching for answers outside of yourself. They suggest that you weigh your food, you count your calories, you exercise to burn off calories, right? So eating psychology teaches learning to listen to how full you are. Mm-hmm. Like learning where your 100% is, and then eating to 80%. So you never have to count calories again.
Yeah, exactly. Because that, when you're counting calories and all this, you're also so in your logical mind. Yes. That you're disconnected from what your stomach is telling you.
That's right.
When you're eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and we find ourselves sabotaging ourselves when we're on diets over and over again. Right.
And there's a lot of maybe self-judgment because, I didn't do it right.
Yeah.
So now I'm a failure.
Yeah. Constantly. Yeah. And what I teach is that there's a perfectly good reason you're sabotaging. There's a logical, perfect reason why you're sabotaging. And that's because there's an underlying fear and belief that is so overwhelming to think about. That your brain knows this. The amygdala in your brain picks up the fear and the threat. And rather than have you go into overwhelm, it causes you to think about distractions. So it says, go ahead and eat. It's okay. You deserve it. And you'll come up with all kinds of silly excuses and not know why. But this is your brain at work helping you.
Right, so it's kind of a protective mechanism because it feels too overwhelming to go into whatever thought or belief that is.
Right.
And so just calm down and let's just, it's a distraction for the moment. And so in this way, it's also looking at ourselves with compassion instead of judgment.
Yeah, it's a very compassionate approach, yes.
Yeah, because we can't change things by just trying to push it away, or we get a lot more bees with honey.
Yeah, very much.
Okay, now what are, do you have a practical tip or tool that the people watching can apply, like today, or in the next little while? What's something that...
Yeah, the very first step is to really slow down and notice. Start noticing where you are when you're eating food. For example, start to notice how the food tastes. Start to notice how it's going down your throat, and just notice how you feel. Notice how you feel afterwards, half an hour after. Did that food agree with you? Because often we get heartburn and things, and we take pills to help, but we don't realize the food we've just eaten has caused us, doesn't agree with us.
Right.
Right. So and so paying attention and starting to notice is one thing I would start with. Slowing down is definitely, slow down your eating, chew your food more, just take your time and give yourself a few more minutes when you're eating.
Well, that reminds me of eating with my daughter, who's 3. She's going to be 4 pretty soon. But yeah, she takes forever to eat. But she's a kid, and she's not so programmed with like all these sorts of things. And also, she really makes noises when she eats. She's like,
Getting pleasure.
She's enjoying it. Yeah. So I love this tip. So basically, slow down. For starters, just slow it all down. And then secondly, really pay attention to the sensations.
Yeah, and the reason you do that is because there is a mechanism in your brain that's looking to know that it ate.
Okay.
And so if you're eating fast and you're not present while you're eating, your brain doesn't pick up the fact that you had a meal. So this is where you get urges to eat afterwards, because it doesn't think you had a meal. And so it's sending out chemicals to your body to say, go eat, find food. And it's evolutionary. It's what keeps us alive.
That is really interesting, because I noticed that like when maybe on like a road trip or something, and I'm just snacking and I'm just kind of unconsciously like putting something back, and then it's like, why am I eating constantly?
Why are you hungry?
Why am I eating constantly? But it's like I'm not paying attention, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, well, this is fascinating.
So it's backed by science, and there's a lot of fascinating things about it.
And just to even learn more about how our brains are working, how our body is working, and then the mind and the beliefs and everything. So this truly is, finding that wisdom in the body.
Yeah. The other major thing to think about is what diets do is keep you away from your emotions. And I mean, I stopped feeling many years ago. Like literally there was a disconnect from here down. Like I felt nothing in my body because I was always in my head. And a lot of this is learning how to reconnect mind and body and soul. We need to connect mind, body, and soul.
Wow. Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, Susan, please tell us. Now we all need to know how to access your work, how to access soul lessons for weight loss. How, if somebody wants to just get to know a little bit more about you or see your work, how do we?
Well, the main way is I have a Facebook group called Deprogram from Dieting with Susan Pasieka, and you can search that on Facebook. You can also text me at 921-7636, so that'd be 306.
Right.
921-7636. And I offer a free 90-minute consult. It usually takes about 90 minutes because we go through really who are you as an eater. And I need to learn how do you normally eat and what are your struggles. And it becomes very evident at that point what your issues are pointing to.
Okay.
Because the issues you think you have aren't the problem. Ever. Those problems that you think you have around food or your behavior, those are symptoms.
Right. That's just the superficial level.
That's right. And they're pointing to something else. And you instinctively know what your lessons that you need to learn are.
Yeah.
But because they're so challenging, you don't want to think about them.
And I think because they're so challenging, you've got that Facebook group, and so there's a supportive environment so that we can address those things. Yeah. Because how can we address it by ourselves? And it's just too much.
It is.
But in a safe environment.
Yeah, and so in this group, I've got tons of videos that I've created myself to describe some of these strategies. I do a monthly, I call it Let's Change the Conversation. And so it's a monthly online Zoom.
Okay.
And we go live and I pick a topic and we talk about it. And so we've talked about many things so far, and all those are uploaded in the group for you to watch.
Okay.
And I also do different workshops that target specific strategies. One is the first 3 steps to deprogramming. So learning to relax, learning to eat quality food, and learning to go with the rhythm of your body. And so we take 1 month to learn each concept.
Okay.
And the other is a 16-week program that I teach how to rewire your brain and get in touch with your emotions again.
Yeah, because it's going to take some time. You know, we've been doing this our whole lives. It takes some time to get into it. So
yeah, for sure. So, and I'm starting a new membership as well. I'm going to be launching in September, and this will be announced in my Facebook group soon.
Oh, we're getting the inside knowledge. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe by the time this airs, it'll be launched.
Right.
So it's a membership, pay as you go. And it really is just a safe space for ex-dieters who want to know what to do next. Because they've done diets their whole life and they don't know what's next.
Right.
And what do I do then if I don't do a diet? How am I supposed to lose weight?
Yeah.
And so you start where you're at in this group and stay as long as you like and learn what you can. And really the group environment is a really special way to learn because you learn from each other. You know, hearing stories. It's about hearing stories. Sharing your story is where the healing happens.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that in my work too. Just being witnessed in our pain and our struggles and knowing that we're not alone, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the most common thing I hear is people are so surprised that other people feel this way.
Right. So people are just all by themselves feeling like I'm the only one who could think such a thing. And so this is, I really hope that, that more and more people get into the work that you're offering because it's such a beautiful and deeply healing journey, not a superficial thing, but a deep healing.
It is, yeah. It's a journey.
Yay! Okay, well, I am so excited. And so all the links that you mentioned, we're going to put it in the description. So if you didn't catch that, it's going to be written down so that.
Okay, yeah.
So, yes, thank you so much, Susan, for joining me today. And thank you all for watching The Light Within, and we will see you next time.